Good morning. Good to see you guys. Everybody doing good?
Yes, sir.
Doing a little good or a lot good?
Not good.
A lot good. Preston, you got a haircut, man. You got too close to that barber, brother. I see that. That looks good, man. I'm liking that. That's the way you ought to roll right there, man. I like that. All right, guys. So we are in the middle of. Hey, my name's Dorsey Atkinson. Did I tell y'all that? My name's Dorsey Atkinson. I'm the pastor here. Believe it or not, I'm actually in a sports jacket today. It was a little bit cool. If you're watching on a video, it was a little bit cool. And I just figured I'd see what it would look like. I was trying to look like Blake Shelton. Let me tell you, my boots, my feet are killing me right now in these boots. Now, I'm just telling you, I obviously didn't know what I was doing when I bought them things. But listen, we're in a message series where we're talking about lost and some things that are lost. And one of the things that Jesus said, and I'm just going to start out. We're just going to jump right into it. Jesus said one time, he said, let me tell you what I've come here for. Let me tell you what I'm here on earth for. He gave a summary of all his ministry, of everything he's doing. Look at you looking at me, baby. You just looking at me, aren't you? Me and you got a moment right there, didn't we? Yeah, we did, baby. Yeah, we did. So he said this. He said, for the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Now, that's what it says in Luke chapter 19. So repeat this with me. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Let me rephrase that. Let me not rephrase it. Say this with me, not repeat after me. Now listen, I know y'all been going to as many weddings as I've had, and we say that part, repeat after me, but that's not what we're doing now. Say this with me. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. The Son of Man is capitalized because that is a title, that is a name given to Jesus. It's a title of Jesus. He's the Son of Man. He's the Son of God, but he's also the Son of humanity because he's human. He's God in human form. And it says that his purpose is threefold here, or twofold, but it's to come to seek and to save the lost. Okay? Come to seek and to save the lost. Now, I just want to make sure you're clear on that. To come and seek for something is entirely different than to come and seek and find something. Many people in this world seek for things, but they never find it. Do you understand what I'm saying? They never get it. Now, the other part is what's different about this is it says he came to seek, and it didn't say to find things. It said to save that which is lost, or save the lost. So what you're seeing here is Jesus is just assuming, or making sure you know there's an assumption made here. I'm going to find what I'm seeking. The point is what I do with it after I found it. You got what I'm saying? So he's coming to seek something. He's not going to stop until he finds it. And when he finds it, he has a purpose to save that's lost. And so this is his premise of what he's doing. And this is his life motto. This is what he lives by. This is what he's going by because that's what God sent him to do. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about a couple of these things. And one of those is, what does it mean to be lost? And we've decided over seeing some other parables and see some other discussions from Jesus from different perspectives in chapter 15 of Luke that something that's lost is not where it's supposed to be. Something is not where it's supposed to be. If it's lost, it's not where it's supposed to be. And we talked about the parable over the last couple of weeks that Jesus told about the 100 sheep, and one of the sheep was lost. It wandered off and got lost, and it was away from the 99. And the assumption was the best place for the sheep to be was back with the 99. So the one was lost from the 99, which is important. An individual, when there's a herd mentality, when that stuff is in their DNA, which we have a herd mentality, we are meant to be together. We're meant to be in relationships. We're meant to be in groupings. When you're away from the groupings and you're running independently, there's this desire, this need to be back with the other group, with the shepherd, or with the sheep. But what we decided was that wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue was the sheep was away from the shepherd. What made the sheep lost was it wasn't with the shepherd. The shepherd was with the 99, and the one sheep was over here. So this shepherd goes to get the sheep. If it would have been really, really, really important for the herd to go with them, the shepherd would have took the 99 with him and took the 99, watched them, and began to search for the one. But he left them because they're cool. There's things going on, but they'll be all right. I got some other sheepdogs, some other assistants to help me. I'm going after that one. So it's because we said that sheep, or sometimes that something's lost because it's not with the shepherd. We also talked about what matters most when you're lost. Does anybody remember that? What matters most when you're lost? Come on, shout it. What matters most when you're lost? Being found. Being found or stop being lost. Now, if you are lost, if you're searching for something, what's the most important thing when you've lost something that's important to you? So if you're lost, being found is important to the person searching or the thing searching. And if you're lost, you're wanting to be found. There's this dynamic there. We both want to get back together. What's apart from the whole, or the sheep away from the shepherd, we want to get back. We want the same things. We also talked about what a good searcher is. Jesus would be called the good shepherd. We talk about what is it to be a good searcher. If you're a good searcher, if you're a good person, if you play hide and seek really well, not on the hiding aspect, but finding things really well. We talked about that over the last couple of weeks. What the good searcher does is personally, that person or that searcher gets involved in it. It goes after what is lost. We talked about the shepherd didn't send somebody else, didn't do that. He went himself to go find what is lost. When you lose something, you got to take it personal. You got to have an attitude of, I need it back and it's personal. I'm not going to send my girlfriend. I'm not going to send my boyfriend. I'm not going to send my mom. I'm not going to send my daddy. I'm not going to send a text. I'm going to go look for it personally because it's lost. Now, if it's something that doesn't mean that much to you, then you might use those other resources. But if you've lost something that means something to you, you're going to personally get involved. We also found out that the good searcher, the good seeker, or the good shepherd doesn't stop until he finds it. If it takes 1 week, still going to search. If it takes 2 weeks, if it takes until eternity, they will not stop searching until they find it. What was that we said? That Jesus came to find and save that which was lost. Y'all repeated that with me a while ago, so I was trying to say, Jesus came to, or the Son of Man came to find and to save that which was, or which is lost. So when will Jesus stop? Until he finds it. But there's the trick, Ricky. That's a trick question. I hate to do that to you right in the middle of a donut, man. That's made it worse. And I'm looking at that wedding ring just glittered on there, just from being married a couple of weeks, and both of y'all glowing. It's all good. And baby, you look good, don't you? Yes, you do. Jesus didn't say, I come to find that was lost. He said earlier, what did he come to? To save that which was lost. See, there's a lot of people in this world that want to find things that are lost, but they don't want to do anything with them. In fact, I would say that's the religious leaders of Jesus' day, and that's what ticked him off. That's what some of the people in our church do today, not LifeSpring, but in the church as a whole. We can find and identify all those things that are lost, that are wrong, and everything else in somebody else's life, but yet we do nothing to save it. We just identify it. That's what it means to find something that's lost. Jesus didn't even put that word in his description of the Son of Man. The Son of Man is called to save that was lost. Not just to find it and identify it, yep, you're wrong, yep, to save it. And he won't stop until that happens. And once we found out that the good seeker, once the good seeker does this, once the good seeker personally gets involved, doesn't stop until he finds it. When he finds it, he celebrates personally. It's a personal thing. Woo! And just the intimacy between that and what was found, it's awesome. But then it moves on and it celebrates publicly. Publicly. Now I'm going to change gears on you real quick. I just changed. You didn't even know it. You didn't even see it. This is one of those things they call transition. Now I'm a child of the 80s. Okay? Being a child of the 80s doesn't mean I was born in the 80s. I wish I was. I'd be a little bit younger. But I was born in the 60s. I'm not going to go back how many far. I'm just going to say. I graduated in 1980. Now, I'm going to say that many of you are not going to catch this illustration, so I put some pictures up here. How many of you have ever heard of the word or the phrase, add a beads? Add a bead. Anybody ever heard of that? Does anybody remember add a beads? Because if you do, then you're probably close to an 80s child. Add a beads was a necklace that the girls in high school used to get. And their mamas or their daddies or their grandmas would give them this little gold bead. And you would put that bead on there. And then after a while, you would get another bead or another bead, and you would add a bead to your necklace. Now, this was what all the hot chicks was, this is what the hot girls was doing. It was all about this in my high school. You understand? They were wearing these things. They'd be in the cafeteria. Woo, look what mommy and daddy gave me. And it was this sign of, I don't know what it was a sign of. Because, honestly, the good-looking chicks in my cafeteria sat at one table, and I didn't get to sit at that table. You understand what I'm saying? I'm over there at the nerds, and sometimes I'd be at the jocks, but I was never over there. The cheerleaders got their little beads on. Now, these are not people that I actually know. I don't know who these people are. Neither one of them are Jody. No, none of them are Jody. Okay, but my point is, if you got this bead or this necklace and you got a bead from your family or friends, it was a big deal. You got it? It was a big deal. Turn to your neighbor and say, it was a big deal. Now, if you were one of those high school girls and you got a bead to go to your necklace that was from a boy in high school, that was a big, big deal. That was a great big deal. Tell your neighbor it's a great big deal. However, if you were a high school girl and you lost a bead, and you couldn't find that bead that not your mama and your daddy gave you and your grandma gave you, those are important. But if you lost the one that made your heart beat like that boy that, all those songs of the 80s they used to sing about, that was him, and you lost that one. Oh my gosh, that wasn't just the biggest deal of all. It was a disaster. The end of the world was coming. And everybody, let me tell you, everybody at the girls' table knew. Because you walk in there one day and you got 4 beads instead of 5, they know. And your life is awful. Oh my gosh, he's not going to love me anymore. I lost the bead that he gave me. He won't care. Does that mean my love is dying? It's awful. They're writing in their diaries, and this was before texting, and they're talking and they're writing letters in class. And we did the stupid letters, do you love me? Open it up, yes or no. Check this box, Now let me tell you this. If you are a high school girl who have lost that thing that was the end of the world, and you searched and you found it, it was the most awesome experience you had. You were so excited, you were fired, woo! And then I'm telling you, all the girls at the chick table, they were just like, oh, that must be a sign from God that y'all supposed to be together forever and ever. And it's just all these things. You understand what I'm saying? Now, we all, maybe you've never had an bead. Or maybe you never would admit that you had an bead. I'm not sure. But we've all lost something that was valuable to us. We've all lost something that's meant a lot to us. Something that represented so much to us. Something that we loved. You understand that bead? That bead meant more than the value of the bead. Do you understand what I'm saying? The value of the boyfriend or the value of the parents. Listen, I'll tell you about that. When we got married or engaged, there's a lot of weddings going on in this church right now. 7 in 7 weeks, I'm just giving you a head, and we got 5 down and 2 more to go. Then Joel's doing his, and that'd be 8 in 10 weeks. Because you're like December 4th, 5th. Yeah, I got it down on that. I mean, it's somewhere. It's one of them days. It's one of them weekends. My point, what was I talking about? Oh, I got engaged to Jody. And I spent more on the diamond ring for me that my means could have done. I spent more on that ring than the value of my car. Now, I'm not going to tell you the value of my car. I'm just going to let you dream. Now, my car might only been worth $100. You don't know that or not. But I spent way more on her ring. And my thought was, because I'm still young, but I'm thinking, I got this business. I don't know what it is, but I was like, if we get in real desperate situations and things get really bad, I can take that ring, or we can take that ring and we can sell it. And we can make it. Guys, that don't work. Because I don't care. I mean, we have been really hungry. We've been really struggling. Now, I know some people have pawned their stuff before. I know that's true. But for Jody, we done gave away a kidney before we gave away that ring. Do you understand what I'm saying? It meant that much more to her because of what the attachment was to me, the sacrifice I made, or whatever thing it was. But we were not going to ever sell that. But what if you lost that? See, we've all lost something that we have that has more meaning than the value on it, that has more meaning than we can express on the value, but it has, is it extrinsic? What's that word? Intrinsic values. And we would do anything to get it back. Whether it's an add-a-bead or maybe it's a favorite picture. Some people have lost pictures in a fire and they lost that picture and they wish they would have had it somewhere else. Maybe it was a pocket knife that your daddy or your grandpa, or was your great-great-great-grandpa was yours. I mean, some of these items, that wedding ring will be a legacy that will pass down, because I'm sure that when Jody passes away and we have that ring, it will go down to one of our children, grandchildren, somewhere down the road. It's a legacy. So maybe it's a pocket knife that you lost. Maybe it's a living thing like an animal or an animal that you loved or something like that. Or maybe it's a person, like a friend that you've lost. Not necessarily to death, but just to, just drifted apart or separated badly. Or maybe it's a parent, or maybe it's a grandparent. We've all lost something that has meaning to us, that we'd love to have it back. Maybe it's something intangible. Maybe you've lost your purpose in life. Maybe you had it at one time, you knew what you were going to do, but then the life happened, it beat you up, it put so much stuff on top of you, you can't tell which way is up or down, and you've lost your purpose. Or maybe it's time with loved ones. Maybe you've lost some time, and you wish you had it back. Maybe you've lost your innocence. For some, maybe you've lost your virginity. For some, you may have lost your desire to grow spiritually, or your desire to develop your relationship with God. Maybe you had it at one time, but you lost this, and you want to get it back, and you just think there's no way I can get this stuff back. But see, Jesus and God through the prophets and the writers, and Jesus talks a lot about things that are lost and being found. All of chapter 15 is about that. The lost sheep and the lost shepherd is just one of the stories. So I'm going to start out reading this because here's a new parable. But let me tell you where Jesus come up with the lost sheep parable and the parable we're going to cover today, which is called the lost coin. In Luke chapter 15, verse 1, it says this: Now all the tax collectors, those are rugged people, and the sinners drew near to him, to Jesus, to hear him. But the Pharisees and the scribes murmured, saying, This man receives sinners and eats with them. Now, I just want to come back to you on that part that Jesus said, what is his purpose? The Son of Man's purpose is to do what? To find and to save that which is lost. Right? Or to seek, no, it wasn't to find, to seek and to save what is lost. And so Jesus is sitting there at a table eating with the category of people that he was designed and purposed to do. And not just to find them. Jesus was eating with them like a celebration. Remember what happens when he found the lost sheep? He picked it up off and put it on his shoulder, come back, and he came back, and they celebrated individually, together, and corporately in a group. Jesus is sitting there eating with this group of people. In his mind, this is exactly what I'm here for. Man, I love tax collectors. That was one of my add-a-beads. And I lost it. I love these sinners. I love these ones. Look, oh my gosh, they've done all these bad things. It's like Satan just knocked these add-a-beads off and they fell on the ground, but I found them. I've been looking for them. I came down to earth to find them, and I found them. I found that meant something to me. And then these smart aleck, Marcus, I'm watching my language. Then these smart aleck Pharisees want to say something about this. Because I think, and I'm just speaking from Jesus' perspective, because I think Jesus is saying, because all you've done as the religious leaders of my Father's church is go out and find that is lost and then do nothing with it. There's people dying and going to hell. In fact, you put more burdens on them. They're caught in active adultery, they're doing this, they're doing that, and all this, and all of these things, and you put burdens on them and burdens on them and burdens on them. They think that they can never come back, that they must remain lost because nobody cares. How can you represent my Father's kingdom like that? And so he begins to tell parables. And he tells them that one we went over the last couple of weeks about the lost sheep. 99 going away. And we talked about how he's going to search until he finds it. He's not going to stop. All of those things. It's not that he's away from the 99. He's away from the shepherd. And so he comes up and gives them a second parable. And let me tell you, if Jesus gives you one parable to teach you something, that's pretty important. When he doubles down and says, I don't think you got it. I mean, I don't think he didn't verbally say that. It's just like, in his mind's like, I need to tell you another way because you ain't getting this. So he tells them this story about a lost coin. Listen to this story. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins. How many does she have? And she loses one. How many does she have now? 9. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, calls her friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin. In the same way I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God when one sinner who repents. Not just I found one sinner, not just when we've sought one sinner, but when one sinner repents, when one sinner makes the choice to say, I'm going to change and do things differently. I'm going to be active in this salvation story. I'm going to be active in being found. When the shepherd's coming from me, I'm not going to be looking and going, oh, there he comes, and go run and hide anymore. I'm going to stop, wait on the shepherd, or I'm going to even close the gap, and I'm going to run to the shepherd. I'm not going to remain lost any longer. And Jesus says this, there's celebration. Not when they're found, not when they're in church, when they're saved, when they come back and they come to that point and they realize I have value and I have meaning and somebody loves me enough to personally get involved, to come after me, to persevere and come after me until they find me. And then there's this party. By the way, there's a celebration. By the way, at celebrations, what do you do at celebrations? Eat, drink, and be merry. Jesus is doing what with the sinners and tax collectors? He's eating with them. And the Pharisees saying, and Jesus going. Let me tell you a little bit of twist on this story. When I thought about this story, when I've read this story time and time and time again, as I process this, my concept of this story being for almost all my life has been this girl's got a bag full of coins. She's got a little purse. My grandma had one of those. My grandma had a purse that twisted like that and it opened. Some of you might have one now. I'm not saying it's a grandma thing, but I'm just saying I just remember my grandma had one, but it had a little, I don't know how it worked, but you twisted and it opened up. Anybody ever saw those I'm talking about? And she kept her coins in there. I think they still do it. It's pretty trick how it works. But my point is, I always had this thing, there's 10 coins in there. And she takes them out every night and she counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, good, puts them back up, right? And then she comes out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Whoa! Where's number 10? I don't know which 10 it was, but one of the, and she's freaking out. This is what I get. And then she's like, I lost my coin. Where did I lose my coin? What did it do? So she turns on the lamp, turns the light on, and starts looking around and sweeping the floor and doing all this stuff. And then, I found it. It was laying there, and I got it and put it back in my pouch, and I go celebrate, right? Let me give you another spin. You ever heard of the word dowry? Anybody ever heard of the word dowry? Dowry was where a bride would receive something from her father for her betrothal. Like when they were going to get married, they would have a dowry that would represent something. Sometimes for some dowry, they would get land. Some were very wealthy, got cities or properties or got a farm. And some that didn't have cities or properties or land might have gave them money. And they might have gave them this money in the form of coins. And these coins or this dowry was to be given to the husband of the bride. And at the same time, the bride's got his own dowry that he's doing to give to the family of the bride. But the dowry of the brides goes straight to the groom. And some of these people wore them as headdresses. Take a look at these pictures here. These dowries might be coins on a headband. You see the lady there in the middle wearing her little headband there. Imagine 10 coins. Your father and mother worked and slaved to give you this dowry for your future impending nuptials, to be married, to be a
adornment about you. To represent them, it represents so much, and you do this, and they've got 10 of them on there, and you go out and you show it to all your girlfriends, and you sit at the cafeteria and you talk about your Attibees, and you talk about your dowries, and you realize this is like one of these coins is worth 5 months of work my family put in. This is 10 years, this is 5 years, this is 3 years, whatever the value was of what my family invested in me, not only in me, but in my future husband. I don't even know who it is. And you would think, well, what does that got to do with guys? Well, guys are sitting there on the other side going, that's what my in-laws are going to give to me. So everyone could have related to this. And then what would happen? And how would you feel if you lost one of those coins? What would you feel like? Suppose a woman has 10 coins, 10 silver coins, and she loses one. Everybody at the girls' table is going to know. And by the time we have football practice, all the football players are going to know. Do you understand? All the girls are going, oh, she lost John's coin. You know. And all the boys are going to be, she lost your coin, bro. We told you shouldn't have paid for that. You shouldn't have done that. What if that's your mom and daddy? How you feel about that? That you lost this thing. They invested in you. And years of sacrifice. And you lost it. Now, it's not lost like way out and about, because you know, like the sheep sort of wandered off. You got what I'm saying? When the sheep story happens, Jesus tells this parable, the sheep has a mind of its own and it wanders off. But in this case here, those coins attached to that thing, they didn't walk off on their own. Do you agree? And if you wore that thing every night or every day when you're out and about, you probably look and count, because how did she notice one was missing? You probably count every morning. Well, if I said 10, I'm good. You go out during the day, you come back, you get in the house. Well, if I said 10, I'm good. You go about your day, you move some stuff around, do whatever, you get ready to go next morning. What if I said 9? Oh, snap. So you sort of know where to look in the house. See, this wasn't just a big deal. This wasn't just a biggest deal. This was a disaster. This was awful. This was the end of the world for that person. So what would she do? So 3 things that notice that she does. First thing she does, you remember what she does? What does she do? Says that she does what? Doesn't she light a lamp? Why would you light a lamp? So you can see better. Why do I need a lamp if I'm outside? That obviously tells you if you're outside, it's dark, or you're on the inside in the dark. You tracking with me? So she lights this lamp on the inside where it's dark, or the outside. So she lights a lamp, which means she didn't have a light to begin with. But she's been looking for it. See, many of us in this room, many of the people in the world, we're looking for the answer to these problems, and we've never lit a light. We've looked for it in people. We've looked for it on TV shows. We've looked for it in our jobs. We've looked for it in sex. We've looked for it in drugs. We've looked for it in all kinds of things, but we can't find it because we don't light a light. We don't light a lamp. By the way, Jesus says, my word, the Bible, is a lamp unto my feet. It lights the way so I can see. So some people think they can go through life and not apply anything from the Bible to their life because maybe they've had it twisted. Maybe people have mixed it up. Maybe people have scared the dickens out of them. I don't know what it is. But they won't turn on the light. But when you want something bad enough, when you've lost something that means so much, when you get to the point, I'm desperate, you light a lamp. And Jesus tell him, wouldn't you do that if you lost that? So she lights the lamp to add more light, to remove the darkness. And then she says that she does something else. What does she do? Sweeps the house. So I want you to get this. Now really get this. Lighting a lamp isn't always the only answer or the answer to solve the problems. Reading your Bible? I'm saying this. Reading your Bible isn't the answer. It's a part of the answer. So then it goes to this part about sweeping and a broom. There's certain actions you have to do. You can light a lamp. You can read your Bible. You can come to church and hear a sermon. You can go to a Bible study and you can hear the Word being read. But if you don't go out and do something with it, do something in that light, take an action, your chances of finding something is slim. And I just want to ask this. Why would she sweep? I mean, when I go sweep, I don't find coins. I find dust bunnies. Yeah. You understand? I mean, I sweep under the bed. I'm like, who's going to look under the bed? I don't care who looks under the bed. I thought we had this dust ruffle around the bed to keep dust from getting under the bed. How does dust get underneath the bed when you got... I'm sorry. I'm digressing for just a moment. Let me catch my breath. Why would you sweep? Can somebody help me with that? Get in places you can't get into. Let's move back several thousand years. Did they have concrete floors or wood floors? Dirt floors. So why would you sweep? To brush the dirt away. And let me tell you, there's so many people that have the dirt of life thrown on them. That's the only reason they can't be found right now. You have so much stuff that people put on you, other people put on you, you've put on expectations, and it's just like this dirt, and you're there. You're just not where you're supposed to be. You're not with the dowry. You're separated from the dowry, but you're right here. There's just this little bit of, there's just this much difference. And we turn up the light, but there's so much crap on us, there's so much burdens on us, we feel like we can't get there. I'm sitting here saying to you that that's what Jesus was sent here for. Hey, you turn on the light, I'll get the broom, we'll sweep. Let's get that stuff off. Let's get in a small group. Let's talk. Let's get some encouragement going on. Let's encourage one another. Let's help people through this. Let's just don't read the Word. Let's become the Word. Let's live this out and help people. And then you go, you just don't know how much dirt's on me. You just don't know how far I've been, preacher. You don't even know what I done last night, but I just look at number 3. And they search carefully. Carefully means you get down there, you get with it, you get in the midst of it, you put yourself in there, you're personally involved. The searcher is personally looking for you. Sound more like that sheep being lost and Jesus coming after that sheep? You get down there, you turn the light on, you sweep, you move the stuff off that the world has put on them, and you find them. And when do you stop? When you find it. And see, some of you are sitting here today saying, he can't find me. I'm sitting here going to tell you because you don't want to be found. You're choosing not to be found. Some of the distress, some of the lack of hope, some of the struggles that you're going through is not because God is not looking for you, not because God hasn't come to earth, not because God isn't lighting the lights in certain places and putting people around you to sweep the stuff off of you. It's because, and carefully search, it's because you keep running. And cover yourself up with more stuff. And so you don't have hope. You've lost your purpose. You've lost your way. And you want to say it's God's fault. He's not doing this. I'm telling you, I don't care what crap is on top of you. I don't care the burdens that are on top of you, what you're weighing you down. The Lord God Almighty has sent His Son, Jesus Christ, here to sweep that off of you, to brush that away, and help find you and put you back with the hole where you belong. And I promise you, when that happens, it changes your life. And then again, what happens after that? When he finishes it, when she finds it, she calls her friends together, and the girls at the table start talking. 2 or 3 of them talk. They celebrate privately, and at the end of the day, there's going to be a party. And Jesus says that's what it's like when you do what I'm doing. You don't sit here and start identifying all the sins. You don't just go out and find sins. You go out and try to figure out ways to help people overcome those barriers, to feel like they belong. And then you rejoice. And maybe have a beer with the lost. Maybe smack high fives with them and go to the game and just chill with them. Just have a good time. Maybe you just care for the people more than you care for the sin. Maybe you just love them because maybe you were that coin one time that was lost. and you remember how you felt when you were covered up. Some of the ways that I treat my wife, some of the ways that I do things in my life is because of the way I was not treated. Got me? You with me? See, things, when you get pressure on you, and my trainer's here, and I love him. He's a great man. Golly, I love him. Some people you can push, but when you push them down further. And some people don't need to be pushed to get moving. Some people need to be coaxed into moving. And some people need to be encouraged to be moving. And some people just need a hand up to get moving. You understand what I'm saying? You just can't football coach and yell at them like an offensive lineman, get in the game and do it, because that doesn't work on everybody. The good seeker or the good shepherd knows what each individual needs to be found. And it comes because he's looked for so many. So how do you find something that's lost? So when you start to think about the things that you've lost in your life, no, you can't go back and get your virginity back. But you can stop sleeping now. You can stop screwing around now. You can stop having sex till you are married. And some will say, well, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. But it could happen. I witness it every day. Maybe you can't get back your past where somebody beat you, abused you, sexually abused you, done whatever they did. Maybe you can't get that back, but maybe you can dust that off and you can begin today to live a different life. Rewriting the future of your story. Maybe you weren't loved. Maybe you were treated bad. Maybe you were one of those people, you had everything, and everything made you worse. And so you've been on this self-destruct pattern, this self-destructive journey of life, and it's time to change that life. I don't know, but I'm telling you, everyone in here, there's something inside of every one of us. There's people in here, I'll tell you just like this. There's people in this room, you going to heaven. I know it, you know it. But you're living a frickin' miserable life here on earth. And it's time to stop that. You don't want God to see everything in you because you just got enough you got enough to make us believe everything's good, but you hurt and you struggle. And every time you want to get out, and every time somebody helps you out, every time somebody wants to encourage you, you cover more dirt on your nose, stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. You don't want to be found. I need to stop today. Because Jesus is not just the good shepherd, he's the great seeker. And he won't stop till he finds, and not just finds you, but saves you from that that's killing you. And the way I know that is because he gave his body for it. He gave his life for it.